From Mexico to Louisiana, the Red River down to the Laguna Madre, Texas is one big playground. Join professional bass fisherman and three-time FLW Angler of the Year, Clark Wendlandt, as he takes you on some of the best outdoor adventures the Lone Star State has to offer. This is Fishing and Hunting Texas.
Hey, thanks for joining us today on Fishing and Hunting Texas. You know, we got a real treat for you today. We're in downtown Austin, Lady Bird Lake. Back in the day, we used to call it Town Lake, a lake that's on the Colorado River, was built for flood control, and is kind of the center of Austin outdoor activity. There's a hike and bike trail that goes around this lake. Tons of people come down here, get on paddle boards, get in kayaks. I mean, there's a lot of activity down here, but one thing I've always heard about this, it's great fishing. I've actually not fished here a whole lot. I've probably only been here one time in my life. Let's see what happens. There's one. Get up in here. Water is so clear. First bass of the day. I caught that on a Strike King Hack Attack heavy cover jig. And what I'm doing is you know, we've just got on some kind of steep banks right off the bat. Look how healthy and pretty that fish is. And I'm just flipping cypress trees. And shoot, that fish was. You know, as you kind of look at this stretch right here, the water's actually pretty deep. We're sitting in 9.3 feet and basically pitching underneath cypress trees, underneath oak trees, underneath trees that kind of are overhanging. I mean, there's lots of cover and lots of different options. You can pitch it way up on the bank, like getting way up under it, or you can pitch it in these outside limbs. A lot of it's going to be, we just got to kind of figure out where the fish want to be. You know, when I first decided to fish Lady Bird Lake, it's a lake I've always wanted to fish because it looks a lot like Lake Austin, you know, just in the appearance of it. I knew there was a little bit of grass in it, and I've heard there's a great fish population. I don't really know exactly why I've never fished it before. It's probably just the logistics, not knowing where a good boat ramp was, the busyness of that area. You know, it's kind of hard to imagine putting a boat in there. It wasn't really that bad. We got down there early, there wasn't any traffic yet. Got our boat in the water, and you know, it was still dark when we put our boat in, and then we just trolling motored all the way up the lake. You can't run a gasoline powered engine on that body of water, so I can only use my electric motor. But you know, my Cabela's X900 AGM batteries, I knew I had the strength and trolling motor to get way up the lake. And so we just put in, and we can't wait to get up there, kind of the anticipation, you know, there's fish kind of starting to bust. And, you know, we really felt like we were going to have a great day. Fish got all these black spots on him. Oh, get up in here. That's a good one. And talk about those black spots. Look at this tail right there. See how all those black spots just kind of, I mean, those are kind of birthmarks. I mean, you see it on fish a lot in some lakes. A lot of times early in the year, you really notice it a lot, but I love when I see that. Boy, that's a good fish right there. Great fish.
Stay with us. There's a lot more ahead with Clark Wendlandt from Lady Bird Lake, right here on Fishing and Hunting Texas.
Now there's a good one.
It's in our stomping grounds and our playground. It's in our sights and our commitment. It's in him, it was in them, and it will continue with her. It's in my nature. Is it in yours?
Oh, nice shot.
You put the cool in life. We put the cool in coolers. Arctic ice.
Let's get down to business. Quiet, you sons of fishes. Now, what?
I'm switching sonar.
Why?
Cause now I can see fish swimming live in front of my boat. I even see fish attack my lure. Y'all sonar's just history. I'm out.
I'm with him.
Ever dreamed of fishing with an FLW champion? Well, now's your chance to win a guided fishing trip with 3-time Angler of the Year and Americana Outdoors staff member Clark Wendlandt. Americana Outdoors is giving a trip in October of 2016 with a legend of the sport for a day of bass fishing that will be filmed for Americana Outdoors. Sign up to win at americanaaoutdoors.com.
Experience High-Vis, a brighter sight picture than standard sights, giving you an immediate, more successful shooting performance. High-Vis lets you see a dramatic contrast between the target and the barrel for a more intuitive aim that delivers instant results. Our light pipes come in a variety of shapes, sizes, and colors, designed to be seen in a variety of conditions. With our broad line of sights, you'll see your marksmanship dramatically improve, bringing more fun and confidence into every shooting experience. Shoot more accurately. Enjoy the sport. Choose High-Vis.
Fishing and Hunting Texas is brought to you in part by Cabela's. It's in your nature. Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. And by Garmin, the power of simple. Welcome back to Fishing and Hunting Texas from Lady Bird Lake, an urban reservoir running right through the heart of downtown Austin.
You know, one of the challenges of fishing Lady Bird Lake is that when you've got a big bass boat, you can't run your big motor. All you can use is your electric motor. We put in and we just trolling motored all the way up the lake and then fished our way back. We get all the way up there. We noticed there was a little bit of current. We got out and we started flipping along the main river channel and kind of up under some cypress limbs and got a bite. Well, that first fish wasn't that big. It was a pound and a half, but you know, it just said, okay, well, you know, this might work. Well, the next one I caught was a 4-pounder. And, you know, it was a cool fish, had some spots on its tail, but it really started telling me, okay, well, this really might work. I was having to fish my bait pretty slow, and but then the third one I caught was a 6-pounder. God, that's a good one now, I promise you. He bit it and he kind of handcuffed me just a little bit. Oh, now there's a good one. That's a Lady Bird Lake bass right there, if I've ever seen it. Look at the size of that fish. I want to show you that guy right there. That's a beautiful fish right there. Wow, that fish, I felt it kind of down in those cypress roots or in some kind of, you know, sticks or something down there, and all of a sudden it just kind of got heavy. That's a beautiful fish right there. You know, as the day progressed, we just started catching bigger and bigger fish. You know, the second fish of the day was nearly a 4-pounder. Third fish of the day is about a 6-pounder. And, you know, all of a sudden I had stumbled on the right pattern. There were some cypress trees there. I was taking that jig, I was flipping it up in the heavy cover. You couldn't put it in the heavy cover where the current was. It had to be where it was the little, you know, the real lazy current or no current. He's stuck. I can still see him, he's still there. You can see him barely sticking out of the water. Right there he goes. Free yourself up, dude. There he comes. Oh, good jump. Oh, get in here. That was cool. You know, we were just commenting right there, the only place...
Total performance. Nowhere could it be more defined than in the Ranger Z series. With unparalleled advancements, these rigs are driven to dominate. Coupled with Evinrude E-Tech's unrivaled performance and up to 500 hours with no dealer schedule maintenance, they're the ultimate fishing machines. The legendary leadership of the Ranger Z500 series. It's the kind of feeling nothing else can touch. Power your Ranger with Evinrude E-Tech.
There's two things between an angler and the fish, the sun and the bugs. Sawyer's line of sunscreens and bug sprays keep you focused on the fish. Sawyer's Stay Put sunscreen formula bonds with your skin for a more comfortable and better level protection. And picaridin insect repellent will only harm the bugs, never your fishing gear. Also, Sawyer permethrin repels and kills on contact over 55 species of insects. You're already outdoors. Sawyer keeps you there.
These are my Strike King S11s. Get your own.
We've always looked for ways to block out distracting light. Wiley X has gone one step further. Peripheral light diminishes the effectiveness of polarized lenses. Only Wiley X removable facial cavity seals block out that light. And you see fish better. Wiley X, absolute, premium protection for sportsmen.
Fishing and Hunting Texas is brought to you in part by Strike King Lure Company and Optics, Sawyer, we keep you outdoors, and by High-Vis Shooting Systems, see what you've been missing, and by AmericanaOutdoors.com.
God, I lost it. That's the one I needed right there. Pitched it way back up in there. I mean, just shot it in there, and it just, you know, pretty heavy jig. It just went way in there. And when I set the hook on that fish, I had him. He just didn't even move at all. And I felt him move just one time and came off. So I don't have any idea how big he is. And one thing I mentioned when I opened the show is that I've only been here one time. Well, it just so happened it was about 3 weeks to a month ago, right before all this flooding rain came. And we really caught them good. We weren't filming, we were just gonna see what it was like. And what we noticed is there was a lot of grass. Grass came out to like 10 feet. Well, now there's almost none. And so all we're doing is just trying to refigure it out, And there's not all that much cover here. There's a lot of sticks, briars, there's grapevines hanging in the water, cypress trees, and then there's deep structure. We hadn't tried any of the deep structure yet, but they're biting pretty good in the cover. We talk so much, get in here, dude. Talk so much about current. And you know, there's a lot of current here right now. We've had a lot of flooding, and so this lake's a constant level lake, but what happens is that these fish are not out in the current. A lot of times they'll feed out in the current. It's a good fish right there. A lot of times they'll feed out in the current, but what these fish are doing is they're tucked back in there just a little bit. And a lot of times you can get that bait in there, you can catch one. You know, when I'm flipping heavy cover, a lot of times what I'm looking for is those, you know, those thick little patches or places where there's something, you know, there. Well, what happens is if you flip your bait in there and you don't go over that cover, your bait's gonna basically gradually work itself back to you pretty fast. Even if you hop at one time, it's coming towards you. So a lot of times I'll actually flip my bait over something. It might be over a log. You know, I lost a 5-pounder over a log. We caught a lot of big ones kind of up through those vines. I'm usually always wanting to put it over something so it can stay in the attack strike zone as long as possible. You know, I had 2 different setups that I threw. I actually had a 1/2 ounce Strike King green pumpkin jig, and I had a 3/4 ounce. And the 3/4 one had braid on it because my intention was I'm gonna flip that in the real heavy cover. The 1/2 ounce, I'm gonna fish more the lighter cover, kind of out around the outside, get it down there in the roots.
That fish, I mean, it's pretty deep right here. It's just on a good stretch of kind of deep cypress creek. I just pitched in there and kind of in that cypress right there, and I mean, as soon as it hit the water, I mean, that fish just started swimming off with it. I just missed one right there. Those power poles are a huge, huge deal. When I drop those down, I'm in shallow enough water where they'll reach. It's about 5-6 foot right here. And they just stop me and they just let me work this really, really well. You can see him right down there. He's on that limb. Can't figure out, there he comes. Not a great big one, but I just like when they bite, I really like to get them in the boat. To show you something about this fish right here. Actually, you know, that's his good eye right there. Well, that eye right there, he's actually blind in that eye. Something probably happened to it. Caught when he was little or something. But they can still do really great.
I want to talk a little bit about our tackle setup for Lady Bird Lake. You know, the one thing that we did is we caught some fish on a variety of baits. Caught a few on Pure Poison, some on a Strike King 6XD, caught a couple nice ones on a Shadowlicious. But the main bait was a Strike King Hack Attack heavy cover jig. And I want to show you the jig I actually fished. This is actually the one I actually fished. You can see it's had some, you know, war scratches on it. I mean, I basically take this bait straight out of the package and I fish it. I put a Rage Crawl trailer on there and I fish it just like this. When you take this bait and run your hand down there, you don't hit the hook. Now, if you actually are in real heavy cover, sometimes you gotta spread that weed guard out a little bit, but in the situation we were in, we almost never got hung. That bait really works well. For big fish, this is the best bait you can fish. The rest of my tackle setup, I'm throwing a Cabela's Tournament ZX, flipping stick, 7.5 foot, real sensitive but heavy enough to actually pull that fish up out of there. My reel is a Cabela's Arachnid reel. You know, it's got the power to get those fish out of there. And my line, I'm throwing 65-pound braid. Now, I threw braid and fluorocarbon both. On the 1/2 ounce setup, I was throwing fluorocarbon. On the 3/4 ounce setup, I was throwing braid, and that was just to get those fish out in those heavy cover situations. In lots of situations, a jig can be the best bait. You can fish a jig a variety of ways. Strike King makes swimming jigs, they make vibrating jigs, they make flipping jigs, they've got, you know, football jigs. There's all kinds of jigs, but it is the best bait for big bass.
You can find the Strike King Hack Attack Heavy Cover Jig at Cabela's. Look them up online at Cabela's.com or visit one of their retail stores. Stay with us, we'll get back on the water right after these messages.
I'm just ready to get him in the boat.
Win a guided turkey hunting trip with Americana Outdoors staff member Jeff Reynolds. This hunting trip to South Texas will be filmed for Americana Outdoors and will be set for March of 2017, when the turkeys will be in full strut. Sign up today at AmericanaOutdoors.com for your chance to hunt for Rio Grande turkeys in South Texas.
When you're out hunting, make sure you're carrying GroveTech. GroveTech is designed specifically for the rigorous demands of the hunt and sets the standard for strength and ruggedness when out in the field. GroveTech products have simply built the best tools for the job and are proudly made in the USA. Go hunt. We'll carry the gun. GroveTech.
Fishing and Hunting Texas is brought to you in part by Wiley X, absolute premium protection. Arctic Ice, we put the cool in cooler. And by GroveTech, go hunt, we'll carry the gun.
You know, day one, we really had a great day. And my whole intention is it's gonna be a one-day shoot. We're gonna catch a lot of fish, gonna showcase this lake. We're gonna showcase the fact that it's a lake that I've never really fished before. Going to the same places and the same lakes every time doesn't really help your fishing ability. Going and finding fish in new places does a world for you. First bite of the day right there. I want to tell you, we're back Lady Bird Lake. And the reason is we had a great day, you know, and I was like, you know, hey, we had a great day. We caught a 6-pounder. Everything was unbelievably good, but I just felt like I left something on the table. And my obsessive nature said, let's go back out and see if we can catch a few more. That's about a 3 1/4 to start the day with. That's pretty cool. You're gonna jump. When somebody comes to me and says, hey Clark, how can I be a better fisherman? The best way I can think about is go to a body of water that you've not fished before, or maybe only fished once or twice, and put your boat in the water, decipher the time of year, the bait you might need to try. You just go with what you got the most confidence in and start fishing. And when you unlock that puzzle, it's awfully rewarding that you're helping yourself become a better angler. You know, when I'm flipping heavy cover a lot of times, what I'm looking for is those, you know, those thick little patches or places where there's something, you know, there. Well, what happens is if you flip your bait in there and you don't go over that cover, your bait's gonna basically gradually work itself back to you pretty fast. Even if you hop it one time, it's coming toward you. So a lot of times I'll actually flip my bait over something. It might be over a log. You know, I lost a 5-pounder over a log. We caught a lot of big ones kind of up through those vines. I'm usually always wanting to put it over something so it can stay in the attack strike zone as long as possible. Get in here. Ah, get the size of that one. Oh, that's funny. That's why I came back out here, because I knew fish like that, and there's a bunch of them here. And I just felt like the other day when we got going, I left too many of these out there. I wanted to catch a few more of them, and I'm kind of nuts. My obsessive nature has treated me well over my life, and anytime I get off the water, I always think I could have done better, I could have caught more. Now that's fun right there. You know, I kept thinking there was a better way to catch these fish, and it may just not be that way. You know, I picked up a jig, I caught a couple on a pure poison already, one on a swim bait, but picked up a jig and catch a 6-pounder. That's pretty fun. Well, as it ended up, we ended up catching 3 or 4 fish, you know, over 5 pounds, and in this, you know, in this show. And I mean, to me, that's pretty great. I felt like we left an 8 or 10-pounder out there still, and I would have loved to even gone back a 3rd day, but I really felt like we caught them good, and it was a good show. That's a good one. I just ready to get him in the boat. Hey, we had a great day today fishing Lady Bird Lake. You know, if you get the opportunity, you got a lake near where you live that you've not fished all that much, get after it. I mean, this is just the second time I've ever actually fished Lady Bird Lake in all the years that I've lived here. And, you know, hey, what a treat. You got an opportunity to find a new body of water and hone your fishing skills, catch more fish. Listen, if you get the opportunity, check out our website, like us on our Facebook page, message us, let us know where you'd like to see us go all around this great state. We'd love to hear from you.
Hey, a big thanks to our sponsors for helping to make this week's show happen. And thanks to those of you that have made Fishing and Hunting Texas one of the longest running outdoor shows on television.